Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? Um, how's it going? I didn't think I would make another video today, uh, but maybe I should. And it's not going to be very all that long. Again, I have things gotta get going on doing. But sometimes you have these trains of thought. It depends on what you're like as a person. But believe me, my trains of thought can get very um, intense at times. Um, On some level, I've channeled it subconsciously into music, of course, composition, that sort of thing. And it really is a big part of my psyche. Uh, there are things I can't ignore about my psyche. There are things that make me who I am. And if I try ignoring them, they're just going to come back in the future stronger. And sometimes you just have these experiences where if you're like myself, or even if you're less like myself, you will still at some point have something like this happen. But sometimes you have experiences where you just have to stop and just experience, feel. You have it's hard to be doing it's very, very hard when this happens and you're in the middle of doing something that's completely different than introspection or anything like that. It's if you're at work or if your work is not very pleasant, or if you're driving, or if there's a lot of things like that, or something that's just not emotional, right? Mathematical or something. Not the type of math that's geometric as well. It's very much just number crunching, that sort of thing. It's almost like a therapeutic kind of thing to have something that's not as emotional come across. Depending how you look at it, you could be frustrated that you have this kind of experience when you have to be doing something that's not emotional. But at the same time, if it's not emotional, it can maybe tone down something that's very um, emotional that you'd rather not experience, maybe. But it's hard to explain these thoughts really. It's just that, more to the point, I have to keep acknowledging on some level that sure I've been wronged socially in other respects in my life. Absolutely. I have no doubt. It's just that you know, if you have been mistreated quite a bit socially, or you've had a lot of bad, tough experiences, be there various kinds of experiences, be there varying reasons, and especially if it's not something that you did that was wrong, but just whatever, you can always handle it different ways, not just two ways, many, many different ways, of course. And um, I was just watching Napoleon Dynamite, and the funny thing is that Idaho has a wholesome culture, whether it's looking at the LDS or the Protestant Christian side of it, or whatever. Idaho is a great place to live, no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that everybody there is amazing. Certainly, it's I'm fairly certain. How's it, Jared Hess, or I don't know. That's one of the folks that are involved with that movie. Um, but people can be cruel, and even good people can be very cruel to other people. And um, I honestly don't think people um, realize how cruel they can be to other people, including myself. Um, I'm not completely innocent here, but um, I certainly have had my fair share of social woes. And in terms of sadness in my life, that ranks pretty high. Uh, Again, there's a lot of ways to deal with this sorts of thing, but there are healthier ways and there are more unhealthy ways. And the only way you know sometimes some people need to just some people just live their life and they just um, something is was handled the wrong way. They learn from experience. Other people trust more in religious religious trains of thought or examples set by other people that they admire or whatever regarding how to handle different things like that. Um, but it always helps me to consider the mindset of other people when they've been less than awesome in whatever way. And that understanding grows with time. And that's one of the few things that can really bring true peace and happiness and joy. There's other things too, and they're more of a religious nature, but we don't have to get into that unless you guys want to hear about that stuff. But um, it's great when other people come up and apologize for something that they did or the way they acted, even if they're only halfway sincere, or even if they're only even a little bit sincere. It's always great to hear that. If they're not sincere, of course, it's not great to hear that. But the only times in my life when I've ever had somebody not be sincere when they're apologizing is really kind of just if someone else, their mom, said, "Oh, now you go over there and you tell them that you're sorry." But it still felt good. But even if it was, but as a kid, you don't really care so much if it's fake or sincere. You're just happy that you got some sweet justice, right? Like you're a little boy, right? A little girl, whatever. So as you get older, you become much more perceptive about a lot of things. More or less, we're not all super high IQ folks, socially shrewd, whatever. We don't all, we don't, none of us, most of us don't have IQs of over 130, whether it's something intellectual or something social or something else. So there are things that we still don't see until we get to an older age, even. But whenever we get to that point when we really truly see what's happening, like George Burns in the movie 19, um, nobody, everybody's wondering why he's acting like he just knows stuff about people. Well, because, yeah, like that's in this movie, I don't want to spoil it for you, but he goes, somehow he's able to switch bodies with is it his nephew or is it a grandson? He's able to switch bodies with his grandson or something like that, and he it's a really good movie, right? It is a good movie. I think it's called 19 with George Burns and the other guy, but it's definitely worth watching. But certainly old people know a ton of stuff, and I can see a ton of stuff. And so there's a point at which their mind starts getting to the Alzheimer's stage for some folks. But it's like, yeah, if anybody understands stuff, it's gonna be older folks. But when you see things so clearly, you can become very arrogant if you're not careful, or you can become um, a lot more compassionate and humble and understanding of other people. And that's what you want is understanding. When you lack understanding, things are very frustrating. But it's also kind of nice because then you don't really know what's going on, and there's less heartache and pain when you do understand why it is that people act certain ways toward you, depending on how if you take it take it personally and be like I'm ugly or I really am ugly or I really am whatever, and then but then some not everybody believes that you're ugly. If you're supposedly ugly, there are many people I think that would not see that you're ugly. They'd see that you're not ugly. But whatever it is, that people will say, or how things they don't say, but they just do. That if you again, if you don't understand those things yet, um, or if you don't understand why people do the things they do that are not very kind, it can be nice. It's very much a safeguard emotionally. And when you do understand fully what's going on with other people, again, you can say, I'm not a very desirable person, or I'm not this great person. Or you can say something like, oh wow, that's a real flaw in their character. because I am not this way. I really am not. It's always a question of whether or not we're going to believe Satan's lies, or how much we're going to believe of them, how much we're going to worry about them, how much we're going to pay attention to what people say or not. There's other ways to even when you understand what people truly are thinking about you or whatever it is. There are whatever the reason, whatever the context is. Um, you know, it's kind of like people are like onions. I mean, you get older, you have layers. Some people might be very, very cruel, but we don't always know why people act the way they do. Really, so we have increasing understanding, but we don't understand everything. We certainly don't understand. We have not even close to understanding. We don't we don't understand things like God. Like we don't understand people like God understands people. Right? Yeah. So, but when you do see more of someone's real character and why they say the things they say, what was motivating them, and then you also just understand life better, and good and evil and everything better and better with time. You can still be frustrating and tough, but you come to a point where things are easier at some point. I think that struggle is a big part of life. I think a lot of us think about things more than other people, and that's to our credit that we're like this, because if someone doesn't really think about things very deeply, they can be very callous in what they say. And okay, is that some deep moral flaw? Well, it just means that what it means. It just means that some people are just not going to be as. Now, there are people also that don't always say the things that they really are feeling. That's more of my ballpark too. So there's people that struggle with how to say things in the way that they mean to say them. They just don't. It's hard to articulate things. But then there are people that truly don't think about what they're saying, and people that don't care about other people. Right? There's always variations, right? Personality, right? Variety, spice of life. But and I have a cousin who doesn't think fully, or she doesn't think things through as much as I do. That's okay. We're all different. I've always liked other things about this particular cousin of mine. But it's always the things that really sting the most, right? The things that really bother us about people more, right? When they say things that hurt more. There was again another person I talked about before without naming their name. This person's name, this chick, was very sensitive, but she also had another way about her where she was definitely putting on an air of that she wasn't sensitive. So yeah, I mean, like, we all know why. If we have a more sensitive side, if things cut more deeply, we all know why a person like this might get really angry. Um, Surprisingly so sometimes. And I think to myself, oh, this person is intimidating in some way. She's trying to be intimidating. No, it's just that the way I said some certain things here and there really hurt her. But she was not the sort of person that would ever want to talk things through or that sort of thing. She would just be like, backslap to the face, right? That's her. Again, it's no grave moral flaw. It's not like she's a demon. I certainly understand. I've understood things better with time, and I'm going to keep understanding things better with time with people. That's the way these things go, I guess. And um, they can go on and on about everybody else I've known in my life, but in this regard, but some people don't figure things out as much with time. Is that a grave moral flaw? I don't know. It just means they're not quite as mature, right? Okay. What really matters though is, did you mean to be? What were your intentions? What were your desires in a social with socializing with these people, different kinds of people? What did you want out of that relationship? Even if it was, we're not talking about something romantic. We're talking, it can be any kind of relationship. Or if anything, did you not want anything? Did you resist what someone else was trying to just make friends? Did you just were you bored with them, right? Were you whatever? You um, we're all going to have to give an accounting for how we treated other people at some point, and I think it's just important to keep that in mind. But it's also important to try to sort through a little bit of why people acted the way they did. When the sting of what happened is gone, maybe there's some bitterness lingering still. And then we can get into religious topics with this and dealing with that. But anyway, I've got to go on to some other stuff here, folks. I wanted to just mention a few things here in this regard. Um, yeah, I mean it's there's only so much you can figure out. Of course, when you're not talking to a person. But the best thing you can do, I suppose, is try to remember that no matter how you thought about people or what you envied in others, and whatever aspect, um, that we are imperfect. We're still getting better as people, trying to be, and um, there as well. Everybody's imperfect, and so um, that means that you know there are a few things that I think would be really justifiably resulting in you having very deep anger or grudge towards someone for a long period of time, and that should go away as well because it's not good to have those things, you know. But I mean, yeah, we're all imperfect, so we all need to kind of keep trying to understand each other better, and um, yeah, and some people can be very difficult to deal with. Yeah, yeah. I think unless you're a hermit, complete hermit, you you don't socialize with anyone, and I can still understand those people very, very well. Unless you're a complete hermit, you're still dealing with people on some level that are very difficult to deal with. Or you might be the lucky one of the lucky ones that every single person you know is amazing. Or whatever. There's some people that are very, very positive about everything and everybody. I've always tried to be that way myself. But all right, leave me thoughts and comments below. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.